judge doesn't have a license. Now let's suppose the judge can prove he has a license, which he doesn't. Judge, let me ask you a question. Under your retirement fund, isn't it a fact that you get a certain percentage of the rake-off of all of the tickets that come before your bench? Well, yeah. And isn't out of the $40 that comes across your bench, you get $18.75? Well, yeah. So you have a financial interest in this matter, isn't that correct? Well, yeah. Well, isn't that a violation of Judicial Canon number 7? You're not supposed to have any financial interest in any matter that comes before your court. I'm going to ask you to recuse yourself for bias, Your Honor, may it please the court. And every single judge has got it. Now, does everybody understand how many ways you can hammer them just out of the chute without even getting nasty? The judge don't have a license. The judge has got a personal interest in the case for financial reasons. There is no jurisdiction to hear the matter, and I'll tell you a secret. Once you challenge jurisdiction, the burden falls on the plaintiff to prove jurisdiction. See? And he can't do it. It cannot be done. There isn't any. There is no jurisdiction to hear a traffic ticket in the United States of America. I know, you're sitting back, oh, come on, they've been getting this for years. A traffic ticket is a writ of assistance or a bill of attainder. You look in your Constitution, you'll find out. Bills of attainder are against the Constitution. And it's stated at least twice that I know of, all right? I'm telling you, you read your Constitution. There is no place for a traffic ticket. You cannot have a writ of assistance that has civil equity arguments that transmit into law penalties. They can't throw you in jail for a debt, because that's a debtor's prison. We have a constitutional argument against that also. So how do they do it? Because they want to, and because you don't know any better. That's how they do it. Okay?
What if they have a court, they say it's a court of equity?
All right, that's a good question. I'm glad you're paying attention here. If they say they have a court of equity and there is equity, then you turn to them and say, thank you, Your Honor, I appreciate your time. I would like to know who is the injured party and where the contract is. Can you show me the contract? There is no contract unless you didn't sign your license on UD 1-207 without prejudice. Where is the contract? It's when you sign for that license. So don't sign for that license unless you put UD 1-207 without prejudice, UCC 1-207. Now, they can't produce the contract, and if they could produce the contract, you've exercised your waiver under the contract not to give up your constitutional rights to travel freely and unencumbered, right? And let me ask you this, can you enter into an unconstitutional contract? Not lawfully. The contract is voidable for not lawful performance. It has to be a lawful contract for you to enter into it. All right, now the next thing. Who's the injured party? Who got injured? Show me, Judge. The parking meter out there? Another neat trick that I like to do, especially in speeding tickets, is I like to confront my accuser. I always like to call a black box that accused me of speeding to the stand, and the judge always gets upset. And I tell him, well, Your Honor, I said, I've been asking this policeman here for 3 hours how the black box that he's been playing with works, and he can't tell me. And we've been through the whole stationary mobile radar manual from Macomb County Community College Law Enforcement Academy, and I've asked him every question, and I don't know how he passed his second-class radio operator's license, because he doesn't know how the damn thing works, period. He doesn't even know how to set up the test to properly test the thing in all environments. I said, on top of that, I said, he is not the witness. He is nothing but a hearsay witness. And his testimony is inadmissible in any court in the land because you can't have hearsay. He says, what the hell are you talking about? I said, he did not actually accuse me. That black box with flashing lights on it and little beepers accused me. I said, now if I had a black box in here with little lights on it and making noises and accusing and saying, he didn't speed, he didn't speed, he didn't speed, we know how far that'd go, right through that window, Judge. You'd throw it right out through that window. But you let this guy bring his idiot box in with flashing lights and beepers on it, and his thing is exactly by the book and admissible in court. He can't tell me how the thing works. We've been trying for 3.5 hours to test him to see if he knows how it works. He couldn't pass that test to save his life, and the bottom line is, I still don't think the damn thing works, and personally, I want to call it to the stand and confront my accuser. Under Article 1, Section 13, Paragraph 5, I've got a right to confront my accuser, and I'd like to confront my accuser, and I'm serving a subpoena. A subpoena deuces tecum, which means bring your books and records, too. He goes, that's pretty clever. I says, not only that, Your Honor, he's arguing apples and oranges. See, I got a speedometer in my car, and it might be plus or minus 12 miles an hour on a factory-made one. A handmade one is plus or minus 6 miles an hour. I said, and mine's got a little needle on it, and it works off a little cable that goes in the transmission, it runs off a little gear. I says, it doesn't have 4 decimal places, and it doesn't do space logic and all this other stuff and shoot out a mile ahead and tell me how fast the telephone poles are flying by. I said, he's got this handy-dandy gadget in his car that's measuring speed one way, and I got this one that's measuring speed my way. So how could I be guilty to the extent that his is talking about, because I don't have one of them in my car? You see the apples and the oranges here, Judge? It's not really a fair test, is it? He goes, that's a pretty good argument you got there. He says, I'll tell you what we're going to do. You've cost my court enough for the day. I'm going to dismiss the case. What do you think of that? I said, fine by me, Your Honor. But before we do, I have one more bitch, Your Honor. He says, bitch, what's that? I said, you see that police officer there? I have a great deal of respect for that police officer. And I don't like to see that police officer get injured in any capacity. I personally feel that police officer sitting in that vehicle all day, for 8 hours a day, getting bombarded by high-energy microwave energy is an insult to that police officer's life, to his family. I personally feel for that police officer. I wonder why these guys are so irritable and why they don't want to eat no food and they don't want to jump the old lady when they go home. And I says, I understand why. It's because they're being bombarded by this high-energy microwave. And I said, some of them are getting cancer. I says, I think that this is an atrocity. And I said, I don't think that officer should be required to sit in that car all day and be bombarded by that high-energy microwave energy, which could cause him to get testicular cancer and all kind of other problems with his life. And just so that the city can make bucks off of these tickets. I says, this is an atrocity. He says, you don't worry about that policeman, that's my job. I worry about that policeman. I said, sir, I said, I worry about him. He works for me. I worry about him. I says, now I've personally run tests on this thing where we took a microwave leak detector right from Radio Shack, which you used to detect the microwave leaks on your radar range at home. And I said, we went over by the radar car, he flipped the switch on, and that thing went in the red. So I know them guys are being bombarded by high-energy microwave energy, and I know that if I had a microwave energy oven at home that was leaking that bad, it'd go in the trash. You understand? Because of the dangerous, hazardous energy that is being given off by the thing. I says, now you ask my police officer here, my friend in the community that's going to protect me, to put a risk of cancer or something like that on his body. I says, I think that's absolutely un-American, and I'm protesting. He said, well, I'll take it under consideration. I said, and I thank you for your concern for our police officer. I said, that's all right, Your Honor. I was trying to be a good citizen. So we walked out of the courtroom, that cop came alongside of me, and he says, I ain't never turning that damn thing on again. And what do you bet that didn't go everywhere? Now that's psychological warfare, folks. That's how it works. And I was right, and I was honestly trying to help him. But he told me he ain't never turning that damn thing on again. Now this happened about 1985. Now they've been publishing in the news just in the last year. You're hearing about all these cops that are coming up with cancer from all kind of various things. Well, this is why, folks, because they're being bombarded by these high-energy radar guns. If I was a policeman, I wouldn't turn that thing on for nothing. I'd cut the wire on the thing. I'm not turning it on. What do you think of that? I'll write a ticket, I'll look in the speedometer, and I'll see how fast the guy's going. If he's going fast, I'll give him a ticket. But I'm not turning that thing on, just so I can have my hair fall out and get a chemotherapy treatment. I don't need that kind of stuff, you understand? I told the judge, I says, you got any kind of idea what kind of power is coming off the end of the antenna on that gun? I said, for every inch that it goes past the windshield, the power curve is squaring itself. Now it's reaching out 1/4 of a mile. You got any kind of idea how much power is coming off the end of that antenna? I said, that poor guy is being bombarded with high-energy microwave energy. I don't think it's right. So anyway, it got dismissed, and psychological warfare worked, and most of the cops in my area don't even have that thing on anymore, because I notice when you go by on my radar detector, it doesn't even go off. So I know that it's effective. Now that's psychological warfare. It's a combination of honesty, and basically I do care about the police officers. I don't want them to be endangered. There are good police officers out there. They have a right to work and have a safe job just like anybody else. Any more than I was upset with them when they dumped Agent Orange on us when we were in Vietnam. I mean, it's illogical. Okay? Now the bottom line is a lot of things are going on out here, and you have to be cognizant of what's going on. And you have to be cognizant of your rights. And you have to be willing to take the necessary and appropriate action. And you can have some fun at it. I like an elder gentleman who's one of my mentors, Eustace Mullins. He says, if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. He says, I'll submit a brief, and then he'll send it back to me, and he'll tell me all the things that are wrong with it, and I'll fix it, and I'll send it right back to him, and I'll add a few more things in there, and he'll get all mad that I fixed it, and then he'll send me back a thing telling me he doesn't agree with it, and I'll send him back an answer telling me that's too bad, because that's the law. Now, you can have a lot of fun doing this. Another neat thing you can do is go down and sit in courts. I highly recommend ladies or gentlemen that don't have anything to do for an afternoon, retirees especially, get your best gal or your best girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever it is, take two of you. Safety in numbers, take two of you. Dress in your best suit and what have you, tie or best skirt and what have you. Go down and sit in the court and take a legal pad, just two of you, and sit there for the day. In the left, you want to sit in the left rear side, the last pew in the left rear side. And just sit there and do not smile. They'll think you're from the Judicial Tenure Commission. You ought to see what happens. It's great. Everybody gets read their rights. Everybody gets treated like a human creature. It's absolutely uplifting. The judge will stop what he's doing and ask you, we're not here for anything serious today, are we? And I'll say, no, sir, Your Honor, I'm just casually observing. And you go, no. Why are we here today? Sir, we were just in the area. We heard that you were a real good judge, and we wanted to see you in action. My associate was driving in the area, and we stopped by to see it. He says, that fish smells awful loosely wrapped to me. Now, you tell me why you're here right now. Honest to God, sir, we're just casually observing. Okay, all lawyers in my chambers. Shuts the court down, goes in his chambers. Now, look. They start trying cases in the chambers, and they started trying them in the hallway, then they were on the other side of the clerk's office at the other end of the hallway. Then they come back, and then the little gal from the prosecutor goes on. She says, what's with the nerd patrol? The judge gave her a look that would kill. Don't you do it today, honey. You keep that mouth zipped. These guys are from the Tenure Commission. We don't want no problems with the state. You button that hatch. I mean, you can have a lot of fun. My associate was just absolutely almost in tears. He could keep his straight face no longer, so I said, all right, we're leaving. We got out. He laughed all the way down to the car, laughed all the way down Rochester Road to the expressway. He said, that's the most fun I had in my life, just sitting there in that day. And everybody was getting off. Guys were getting sentences canceled. Guys were getting out of jail. One guy had $2,500 worth of fines, and they got reduced to $124 and 5 days served. It was $240, and it was going to be 10 days in jail, but the judge turned to me and winked. He says, I can't throw him in jail for a civil infraction. I knew that. So, this is the last offer I'm going to give you, young man. It's going to be $124 and 5 days served. Does that sound good to you? The lawyer turns to me and says, you better take this. This is the best deal you're ever going to get. So I'm telling you, you can be effective as citizens. You can get on the radio. You can call up. We have here Mark Scott on the radio, and we have several people. Mike Reagan. We have Jesus. There's at least 8 or 10 top people. Joe Maxwell is on there. There's a Newman fellow. Dave Newman, there's quite a few. You get on these talk shows, when you hear them bring up the right constitutional issues, you pop off, you sound off. Tell them, hey, this is America. Last time I heard we got an American flag on a pole out there. Last time I heard we got a constitution, and by God, we're going to keep it forever. Forever. Anybody got a problem with that? Okay? Now, there's a bunch of other things. We're going to take just a little break here, and we're going to come back, and we're going to finish off with some really hard stuff for the advanced students. So, come right back with us. We got some more stuff for you. Just like the old squirrel.